Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Woodstock, Georgia, it's time for Cherokee Business Radio. Now, here's your host. Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Woodstock, Georgia, it's time for Cherokee Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Welcome back to Cherokee Business Radio. This is Joshua Kornitsky, professional EOS implementer and your host. Today's episode is brought to you in part by our community partner program, the Business Radio X Main Street Warriors, defending capitalism, promoting small business, and supporting our local community. For more information, go to mainstreetwarriors.org. And a special note of thanks to our title sponsor for the Cherokee chapter of Main Street Warriors, Diesel David Incorporated. Please go check them out at dieseldavid.com. Well, welcome back, and thank you for joining us. Today, I've got some great guests in studio. I'd like to first introduce Brian Kramer, co-founder and president, as well as Laurie, Genevish, co-founder and director of development and delivery of the Cobb County Business Bootcamp. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm continuing my tradition of clarifying name pronunciation and still getting it wrong. Laurie, would you please tell me how to correctly pronounce your last name so I can fix it when we're done?
Genevish.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you both for being here today and for being patient. And look, as they say, the only way to improve is to make mistakes. And I am doing a great job of improving.
You're awesome.
So thank you both. Let's begin at the beginning. Can you help me understand what is the Cobb County Business Bootcamp and kind of how did it come into being?
So it's really a culmination of a lot of experiences I've had in my life through IBM and through consulting with small businesses. One day I just received an email from Cobb County saying, we're looking for ideas in workforce development. And I had a team of people that I'd been working with on and off for several years. And I said, hey, guys, let's come together and write an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Let's craft what would it take to help in the workforce development space, small businesses throughout Cobb County be more successful. So we pulled together a program that supports our mission, which is, we help small business owners on a life-changing journey to create sustainable businesses that support their community. And just as importantly, bring hope with valid optimism to their families. It's not just blowing smoke. It's like, here's how we do it. Stop running your face into the same fist over and over again.
Yeah.
This is what works.
And I imagine that's a challenge I know it's a challenge all entrepreneurs face, but as having walked the path myself as a new entrepreneur many times, it's, you don't know what you don't know, I guess.
Yeah, and we want to provide an environment where it's not just, here's some classes. I won't let someone on the team unless they have walked the same walk as our members. They have to have had those difficult conversations across the dinner table that, that sale didn't come in. Now what? And how do we strengthen ourselves? What resilience do we have? They have to understand the actual journey that the people have gone through. So it's not just, hey, we have some classes for you. We try to offer an experience that supports them and encourages them or tells them to do something different, that their idea is not necessarily going to work, that their math is faulty. So either way, it's to reduce the suffering that people experience in our community trying to reinvent themselves and help them come out stronger.
Yeah, because, entrepreneurship can be very lonely, right? You sit in your house with ideas, and not only do we offer learn how to build your business, but community. And this is the biggest thing. And how, so you don't feel like you're all alone.
Sure. Yeah, and oftentimes when you're at home all alone, you don't get the support that you really need. Oftentimes it can be confrontational and it can tear you down, and not allow you to have the energy that you need in order to be successful. But you also need to be open to people saying you're doing it wrong.
So you foster sort of this openness and the understanding right from the get-go that they've got to be willing to take the constructive feedback?
Yes, but also, I mean, we offer a variety of ways, right? We meet them where they are. So depending on where they are in the business, do they need guidance on financial? Do they need guidance on operations? Do they need guidance on marketing, sales? And help them identify where's the best spot for them to start.
So it sounds like it's not just lecture in classes and articles.
No, not at all.
Not even close.
Yeah.
So what do your members learn from going through the program?
So we have broken down the program into the main pathways: operations, sales, HR and culture, entrepreneurship, and governance are the different areas. And so they learn topics from everything from, mindset, sale. A lot of times we stop ourselves from doing sales because there's a certain mindset we have and how to get past that. How to identify your right audience and how to speak to them from a marketing perspective, how to build standard operating procedures, why they're important, what processes should you be looking at. We have managing your business and cash flow. So what we found with our members is a lot of times they just need the basics.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, they just don't. And to be honest, I mean, as Brian said, all of us here have owned businesses. I wish I had this program when I was starting my business.
From the sound of it, so do I.
Exactly. So we offer, again, we meet them how they best learn. We have online courses where they watch a series of videos. We have coaches' corners where we teach and they can also ask questions. We bring in experts in different areas. We also have done with you consulting services. So even though, okay, you understand how to build a spreadsheet and cash flow, but it's just not your strong suit. Is there someone who can help you with QuickBooks?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, and when you say done with you, meaning that it's literal side by side, so to say, where they're
right. Because I think also as an entrepreneur, you need to understand some of the basics because then you can work with a consultant even better.
Yeah, and it could be online. It's not necessarily physically right next to you. It just depends
Sure
on what's taking place. But what's so fun about it for me is that we basically help people get unstuck.
Mm-hmm.
They may be stuck on their website. I mean, it started with a website issue where someone contacted our marketing guy and said, look, I'm just stuck with my website. He goes, well, I don't really know that platform, but let's meet for coffee and see what we can do. Well, he didn't know the platform, but he knew all those weird acronyms and four-letter things behind the scene. He goes, oh, flip this one, and then it worked. And just we got her unstuck, and she was able to move on to drive her business. So you might be stuck with your financial analysis. We talk about encouraging or discouraging. We have a very simple spreadsheet. Well, I think it's simple, but that's me. But it helps people say, oh, look, you've got all these ideas. It's going to cost you this much. You're going to sell this much. Oh, look, you're not making money. Well, what would it take for you to make money? Let's play with this and see. If I just sell 2 more a month or 3 more a month, or if I raise the price, or if I cut this cost, now I can afford to pay myself. And this is all things that people have not seen before, typically, and they don't have the tool to do it. So we give them tools to help them see, what they're trying to do. So they're operating with good information.
That makes a huge difference, and it's a huge hand out and up to help people get a better understanding of what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And Brian, you had said something before that I want to kind of revisit. You had mentioned this concept of, for some folks, maybe it's not for them. No, it may not be. Owning a business, I mean, you can tell by looking at me, and I know the audience can't see me, but there was a stage in devastatingly handsome.
Yeah, in my teenage years, I looked in the mirror and realized I was never going to be an NFL linebacker. It's just, nope, that is not me. I would get creamed. I wouldn't even get to the point to get creamed. But similarly, being an entrepreneur and a business owner is not for everybody.
Right.
However, owning a business is not owning a business, is not owning a business, is not owning a business. You can select what kind of business you have and what the demands are going to be, what regulations, what laws, what et cetera, how many employees, if any employees. So I do like to work with people along that thinking to say, what does it really take? But at the end of the day, it's not for everybody.
Well, and the reason that I specifically asked that question is that's one of the hard truths of life, right?
Right.
I may still be an astronaut, but they're going to have to get very far down the list till they select me. But it's been the dream all along. It just may take time.
Well, Disney World might have a spot for you.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. At the very least, I feel certain I can buy a costume somewhere.
And the other thing I'll add, like we actually have a course, is entrepreneurship for you.
Right.
And so to help you think through it, we also see it as a success if someone comes to us, say, I have this idea for a business, and we go through it, and it may not be a viable business. And what a gift to learn that early versus 5 years later going, yeah, this ain't going to work.
5 years later, after you've spent a lot of money and maybe ruined your marriage and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say I have seen that play out many, many times. And a great idea doesn't always make a great business, as I'm sure you guys have learned multiple times. But let's talk about success. What are some of the things you've encountered or that you've accomplished already? And how long has the Cobb County Business Bootcamp been around?
Well, we've been open now about 16 months.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And we're about to cross the 300 member mark.
That's fantastic.
If we haven't already. And one of my favorite stories is there was a person that joined us. She had a home cleaning business, and she really dove in. She dove in deep with all the things that we offer. And then I was at a networking function, and she was there, and she came up to me with so much enthusiasm and said, Brian, since I've been in the program, my business has improved, my stress level has improved, and my marriage has improved. Just because they've
got direction.
They've got direction, and they weren't making the same mistakes over and over again. And we have a thing called a roles and responsibilities worksheet that people tend to love once they start using it, because it really clarifies, what do I expect from different team members I'm working with? What can they expect from me? And it reduces a great deal of conflict within. And you may not have employees, but you may have several vendors you rely on. And guess what? They're human beings too. And to the extent that you can be collaborating with them and having roles and responsibilities clearly laid out with them, which then transfer into contracts.
Right.
This is what I need. This is what you need from me. Okay, well, let's modify our contract so it says that. And it just makes execution easier, which makes it easier for people to create business processes. So now
You're speaking my language.
Yeah. So now they can write down, this is how we get work done. And that is the path that is necessary so you can take vacation and still get paid.
Yeah, that's a great point. Clear accountability leads to clear expectations. Clear expectations leads to a better delivery and a better product. And no matter what it is that you're delivering on. So that, I think, adds an enormous amount of value to what you're teaching them. But there's one other thing that you guys had mentioned to me before that I really want to understand a little bit about, and it fascinated me as a concept. How do you, when we were talking about how do you get people started, you mentioned the idea of the business idea generation workshop.
Right.
Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I think that well, I'll let you tell me.
Yeah, so the Business Idea Generation Workshop, it's a 90-minute workshop where we help you think through an idea and think about who your ideal audience is, what are their needs and such. So laying the groundwork to help you decide. In the end, you can almost craft your elevator pitch, and it just gives you a taste. And I think it gives people that initial hope to say, okay, and then they go, I need more to help do this. And that's where the full CCB work, the Cobb County Business Bootcamp can help with that.
Yeah, I like to look at it from a slightly different angle, and I agree completely with what Laurie just said.
Sure.
But I also have this perception that people have been laid off 4 or 5 times already, and they're in a funk. Do I really want to apply for another job? Here I am I'm sitting in front of my monitor all day pretending to apply for things, knowing that it's with a belief that it's not going to happen. And deep down, they want their own business. They want to get out of that vulnerability, or at least develop a successful side hustle. What the Business Idea Generation Workshop also provides is an opportunity for them to get out of their basement, get away from their monitor, get around other people who are thinking about creative ideas, be coached through a process of thinking through an idea. And maybe from that, they say, you know what? I could do that.
Right.
Or I'm close. I've got an idea. I know it's not exactly right. Let me think it through some more. And then they can join the Cobb County Business Bootcamp, where we will work with them to flush it out and give them tools and methods and skills to take it to the next level and hopefully make some money from it.
So it sounds like it's a great way really to begin to understand whether or not it's the right place for you is to understand whether or not you can develop that idea any further.
Right.
It's a great first step, and it's free and open to anyone in the community.
So
I even see a sense of community start there in the workshop. People will start talking with each other and bounce each other ideas. So immediately you feel this energizing knowing that you're not alone.
That's awesome, because collaboration is the builder of bridges, and that's fantastic. So let's talk about how, if someone's interested in the Cobb County Business Bootcamp, how do they get involved with it?
Well, our website's really difficult to remember.
Okay.
It's theccbb.com, the Cobb County Business Bootcamp.com. So ccbb.com.
And how much does the service cost? It's got to be outrageous.
We offer scholarships, and if you qualify for the scholarship, it's free. Everything is free.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's funded by the federal government.
That's fantastic.
Obviously, you have to be in Cobb County.
Yes.
Sure.
That's one criteria.
But to have that available for a qualified applicant to be able to do that for free. And what does success look like in the program as far as if someone's gone through it, how do you know that they've gotten to a place where they're able to move forward?
Honestly, the example that Brian gave regarding, Fancy, she was able to build her business. It's whenever someone says they're unstuck,
Okay.
and
that's
we help with their website. They now know their numbers. They have these aha moments. To us, that's success.
Yeah, we are making great progress in defining how to measure what success looks like, because we had to see it for ourselves, first of all. And there's no mistaking it when you talk with some of our members. I mean, they're raging fans because of not only how we help them get unstuck, but now they've got a community that they often on their own form. Hey, let's keep getting together on our own and doing things, so they're no longer by themselves.
Right.
But we are seeing, revenues grow. We're seeing business getting started. But there's a few things we just have to tighten up some stuff so we can effectively, and I'm missing a word now, but show truthfully the progress that's being made so that the government could actually see, oh yeah, we're seeing this difference in our numbers.
Well, and I realized after I asked it, you're not just training people on how to make and sell widgets. You're a spectrum of services to a spectrum of entrepreneurs. So there can't be a single definition of success, but being unstuck certainly is a benchmark that everybody that is walking that path can understand.
Oh, yeah.
We're also, creating great partnerships. We've been working with Cobb County Procurement, and we're getting ready to launch How to Do Business with Cobb County, which a lot of people don't understand. So excited about launching that because several people have said, I want to know when that's available.
Oh, sure.
When that's available.
Yeah. The conventional business wisdom is if you want to do business with the school system or a county, if you have to hire someone that speaks that language. And if you don't, you're out of luck because, the school's not going to talk to you to be a landscaper or whatever.
Right.
And that's fantastic that you're going to create or you're creating that program because I think that'll help a lot of people because I'm sure there's a lot of opportunity in those spaces.
Yeah, and they're just as excited, the procurement. They want people. They're like, we want people to want to do business with us. There's a lot of opportunities out there that you just don't realize.
That's great. I'm so thrilled as someone who works with entrepreneurs for a living. I'm so thrilled to know that this is available and in the county that I live in. And it's a resource that I've started trying to point people towards, at the very least, to learn what they don't know about becoming an entrepreneur. And we all know that multi-billion-dollar companies sometimes get started in garages, but they don't happen by accident. They need guidance. They need direction. Is there any, I'm sorry, Brian, I cut you off.
Well, yeah, you talk about multi-billion. My big goal, my personal passion for this is that people start making more money every month, that life in their household becomes better.
Right.
Because they're making more money and they're doing it in such a way that is sustainable. It's not crushing the family with stress. And I believe, it's my fervent belief that if we do that, then maybe families will stay together.
I think that's a very noble goal
and
a realistic one.
If families stay together, maybe the community improves because, I don't know, they get involved in these wild and crazy things like Boy Scouts or Little League or church and volunteer in the community. But on the other hand, if that's happening, then how do we get them to the point where they can take 2 weeks off and still get paid?
Right.
Which can be a pretty difficult next step for a lot of people. How do you keep this? Because when you can take 2 weeks off and still get paid, then you have a business you can sell. So everybody talks about investments in the stock market and things of this nature. Well, why not just from the beginning be thinking about if I can get this to the point where I can take 2 weeks off, then look at the generational wealth we're creating by having a company that can continue to run without me, or we can sell it, do whatever. But it's really not just saying, oh, I've got to do something. I don't want to work for the man anymore. And flipping that logic to a more empowering set of logic that says, I'm building something for the family that could be sustainable.
Yeah, it's about controlling your destiny, controlling your life.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. When I first started the entrepreneurial journey, someone told me that it's riskier to be an employee than to have your own business. Because as an employee, you only have one customer, and that's your boss.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
As a business owner, you develop the skill of getting lots of customers. And when one leaves, you get another one. When one leaves, you get another one. And once you start having that occur, and then it can occur even if you get sick. If something happens and you need surgery and you're down for a week or two, oh, look, the money machine is still working. Isn't that cool? So, you just got to have that vision when you're starting so you have something to build toward.
I don't think your goal is unrealistic. It is a beautiful one. And I agree with you that you look at America is 85% built on small and family businesses. Yeah. And the path to happiness is to strengthen those communities and those local businesses. I cannot thank you both enough. Is there anything that we didn't cover that we should have? Anything that we didn't touch on? Because I want to make sure that people know how to get in touch with you. And you mentioned the website. I
have one more thing, and I'll start it off, and Laurie might take off with it, but it's kind of her baby. But we are getting ready to roll out what's called the Hive Deck. And the Hive Deck, and this will be out maybe, I don't know, in a couple months. We're working through some of the final phases of it. But it's a deck of cards with 6 sides on it. And it's designed to help you think through your ideas, particularly along with another person. So we're going to have a feasibility deck. All right, you have a business idea? Here, let's play with the feasibility card deck.
I love this idea.
And say, have you determined if you'll make money? That's one card. Have you talked to anybody about the idea? Who would you sell it to? These fundamental things, but at the basic level, as I look at this, and this never happened to me, but I have a friend. But let's say you're just sitting there, in your house saying, okay, I got laid off. What am I going to do? And you take these cards and lay it out and you sit down with your spouse and say, honey, this is what I'm thinking. Here's how I'm thinking it through. To which the person says, well, what about this card? Or what if you move the card in this angle and try these different things? How's that look? And then you're starting to collaborate together. And when you're done, this configuration of cards really is a business plan.
That's fantastic.
It's an initial business plan. Then we have we're working on the Hive launch deck. What would it take now to launch it? It's a different set of cards to say, okay, now here's what are you going to do for marketing? What are you going to do for sales? I am so excited about this because of what it's going to be able to enable people to do, and people who learn differently and people who need to see things differently. My wife's an artist. My sister-in-law's an artist, and both of them just fell out of their chairs when they saw these cards.
Yeah, we've actually tested it with startup entrepreneurs, and they love it. They're like, it's like a business vision board.
Right.
We've also tested it. So as your business grows, you start to mature. So instead of like, here's what you should do, it's very questions.
Sure.
Like, what are some things you should think about? And we've tested with mature businesses, and they were like, I want this for my teams.
Oh, I'd love to bring it to my clients. It's fantastic.
Right. I was delighted to see the reaction from those mature business owners because they said every day we're dealing with they're playing whack-a-mole every day.
Mm-hmm.
Said they want to use this for their retreats.
Yeah.
And the questions that Laurie referred to, they're basically questions that a consultant would ask. So, well, have we done this? Have we done this in these different areas? And they say, I want that for my retreats. They can use the same card deck every time.
Right.
Just to let the people play visually and say, what do we need?
Sign me up for a set. That sounds fantastic.
All right.
Well, I'm going to try again. Laurie, Genevish.
Genevish.
Jeez, I just can't get it. It's on me. And I wrote it phonetically and everything.
I'll change it for
Thank
you.
you for your patience and understanding.
Knee.
And then the much easier Brian Kramer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian Kramer. Easier to pronounce. Co-founder and president, Brian Kramer. Laurie, co-founder and director of development and delivery.
Yes.
And with my inability to pronounce your last name, but from the Cobb County Business Bootcamp. I can't thank you both enough for coming here. We will have all of your information on our website as well as links to Cobb County Business Bootcamp. Is there any other way of reaching you, or is the best way through the website?
I would say through the website.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you both for being here and for entertaining my poor pronunciation.
It's all good.
And I'm happy to introduce both of you and our listeners to my next guest, David Van Vurst, also known as Dave, and as well, I've known Dave for a couple of years. Dave actually has been in my orbit for a while, both knowingly and unknowingly, because he's an entrepreneur as well. But David Van Vurst with the Phoenix Real Estate Solutions and goes by Inspector Van on social media and has some of the best stories you will ever hear. Welcome, Dave.
I appreciate that.
You got to be a little closer in.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. So tell us, what is Phoenix Real Estate?
Let me just add right from the start. Brian, where were you 12 years ago when I was starting my other business with my wife?
Yeah.
Where were you 12 years ago? Because she's from corporate America and I came from a sales background, and we jammed each other for 2.5 years until you said something and we worded it different. We figured out our own swim lanes. And I stayed out of her swim lane. She stayed out of my swim lane. No matter what happened, that's your lane, that's mine. And that's how, as a couple, we got past all that. So that's interesting that you guys, the way you worded it was a little different. But I'm like, I see all this in my other business. So anyway.
So further validation that Cobb County Business Bootcamp is a great place to be.
A great thing. I'm like, 12 years ago, that would have been perfect if I'd have known that. But you work through what you got to work through.
Yeah.
All right. Your question. I apologize.
Yep. So just stay up here. But so tell us a little bit about yourself, because I know that you've got some very unusual certifications for this area.
Yes, I do. And so I come from entrepreneur background. I was in sales for years, and then I opened up with no knowledge what I was doing, the Sky Zone Indoor Trampoline Park in Kennesaw, Georgia.
I knew it well.
Yes, my wife worked with me as well. She built a business plan, and I ran day to day. We built out the building and everything ourselves, and that's what we did. So that was our taste in entrepreneurism. It's amazing. It's scary. It's
terrifying.
Confusing. It's every emotion you can throw in there. And with COVID happened, closed the business down, and I started Phoenix Real Estate Solutions. My wife and I started that together. Phoenix, as a joke, I mentioned it because we were rising from the ashes of everything burning to the ground. You know, Harry Potter and his little phoenix. My daughter used to watch that show. I'm like, oh, rising from the ashes. We're the Phoenix. And RE stood for Real Estate Solutions. So we started together. We wanted to continue to work together after Sky Zone burned to the ground. We enjoyed working together. So we wanted something together. So we actually started rehabbing houses, doing short-term rentals, so we could stay together.
Sure.
And from that, it branched off, because every house I would go to, I would inspect it. And every house we went to, she would do the financial part of it, because she graduated in accounting from University of Florida.
Okay.
So from that, that's how we branched off. And she said, you know what? I'm going to get my real estate license because I don't want to pay somebody to sell these for us. And I'm like, well, I need to get my certifications for inspections because I really enjoy that avenue of what I'm doing. So that's how it actually started. It'll be interesting for you guys to listen to how I did what I did, which will be probably completely against how you guys tell people to do it.
How not to do it.
Yes, don't do it the way I did it. But
that book is much thicker. How not to do it is a much thicker book.
Yes, it is. And the way I had no help from anybody. I actually started with a company called ICA out of Chicago, Inspection Certifications of America, and went online, shut my office door for months, studied, took the exams, all that good stuff. And then from there, I started my inspection business. But I got mentors, Austin Jenkins, Chris Eslin, Frank Lundgren. I have 4 or 5 mentors that I could reach out to like, hey, what is this? What is that? Right. And then a year later, I ran across another organization called InterNACHI, who's actually the largest inspection company, training company in the country. Okay. It's actually recognized by the Department of Education. So it's a huge organization. And I actually ran across them. And one weekend, my wife and daughter were out of town. And I said, I wonder what your exam is like. And I went on their website and there was a 5-step process. Take our exam. And I'm like, wow, let me just take their exam. I have no idea of their study patterns or their questions. Let me take it and see what I do. And I ended up getting a 90% on the first time I took it.
Wow. I
did a handful of things and they said, you can become an inspector within our organization, but you have to do these 12 other modules within a year. And I'm like, this is outstanding. So that's how I got involved with it.
Okay.
Now, the second part of that is commercial inspections with a new organization who's, I say, a sister, distant cousin to InterNACHI, CCPIA. And that's the only association in the country that has ongoing commercial training. And it's a whole association with that. So
you're doing both residential and commercial inspections.
Correct.
And one of very few certified commercial inspectors.
Correct. Yes. It's relatively new. I think when I started and got certified, there was only like 3,000 of us in the country.
Right.
So yeah, it's relatively new, but that'll be the wave in the next 3 to 5 years as commercial buildings, cost to cure, PCAs, property condition assessments that, like Cobb County, they don't have people that are giving them a lot of that information for government buildings and stuff like that. So I see that's where it's going with a lot of people don't know how to take care of buildings and stuff.
Sure. Well, and real estate has gone from being a necessity to being an investment vehicle. And
correct.
As commercial real estate is arguably less volatile than residential real estate, I'm sure people put money into it figuring that it's the long-term ATM without expecting the fact that they've got to make sure that the roof doesn't leak and that there's not a million other problems.
Commercial is an asset. That's all it is. There's no emotion in commercial.
So where does most of your business come from? Now that we understand what you do, where do you find the folks that you're able to help?
So I have kind of a 3-part way. A lot of it is referral based.
Okay.
Because for me, I choose peace. Coming from an industry, Sky Zone, where I had 750 some kids work for me for the years, millions of people coming through the park, always stressed out. I choose peace. So I get a lot of referral business for people that, hey, he inspected my house. I get sellers that when I go inspect their house for when they're selling it, they're like, I want him to come look at the one I'm buying.
Wow.
Because I'm an empty nester now.
Right.
I don't have anywhere to be and I choose peace. So like I have an inspection this afternoon. If it takes me 3 hours, if it takes me 5 hours, it doesn't bother me. I've got nowhere to be, which makes it great for the inspection purpose. Realtors, I get a lot of referrals from realtors that I've used him. I recommend him. My social media now is driving more referrals.
So yeah, let's just pause for a minute because full disclosure, I did have I call him Van, did have Van come out to my house, not because I was buying or selling, but because it's old and we were just concerned as we had inherited from my late mother-in-law that there might be some baked-in issues. So I got to see the output of his work, but this isn't about me. I want you to share some of the things that you've seen, that you've shared without when he anything on social media does not have any personal identifying information for where he is. Let me be clear.
And I've learned that there's a gentleman out of Arizona, Cy Porter, who when I first started, I consumed hours and hours and days of his content because not only is it educational, he's kind of raw in some of it, which is nice. And I learned pretty quickly that if you start putting people's names out there, buildings, they have a problem with that.
Sure.
So
understandable.
yeah,
Unless you're praising it.
yes,
Yeah.
I'll put out what city I'm in just so people that are watching my videos know, oh, he goes there. Oh, he goes there. But there'll never be a person's name on it. There'll never be an address to the house I'm at just because I don't want that trouble in my life.
Sure. I understand. So let me ask this then, speaking more on the residential side than the commercial side, and happy to ask on the commercial side as well, but what are some of the mistakes people make when they're looking at a house?
The biggest one I see when they're looking at a house is their eyes are too big and they're too emotional. Thinking, oh my goodness, look at this house. It's 4 bedrooms. I can raise my kids here. I can do this there. I can put, our sofa will go over here. And you have it on the sheet here. It's buying a house should always be math and never emotion.
So interesting. Brian and Laurie were talking about sort of the math of business as well earlier, and explain what you mean by the math of it.
So I'll go back to the when I'm rehabbing a structure and I'm looking at buying a house.
Right.
When I do that, it's always, hey, what is my cost to hold? What is my cost to rehab it? What's the after repair value? What am I buying it for? You never make money selling a house. You make money on buying a house. So when I look at it, and I've got a client that she was out in Covington looking at a house, and I'm inspecting it, and I'm listening to her. Well, we're going to remodel the kitchen. We're going to redo this. We're going to redo that. And I'm just putting all this in my brain.
Right.
And as we get 3/4 of the way through it, I call her over, and her dad was in the Navy, wonderful family, and her mom was the toughest one of the group, which was amazing to watch. And I'm like, so what are you coming up with your math on what it's going to cost you to rehab this place? She's like, well, I'm thinking 60. And I'm like, nah, I'm thinking more 85 with what you're telling me.
Right.
Let's meet in the middle, say 70 grand. She goes, okay, that's fine. I'll agree. Like, what are you buying it for? 255. So what are the houses in this subdivision selling for fully done? 300 maybe? And she looked at me and I'm like, the math tells you you're buying it for 255. You're going to put 70 in it.
Right.
You're already upside down when you're buying it. So those are the things that I'm looking at going, hey, are you going to have to redo the roof? Are you going to have to redo the AC? And the difference, to your point, commercial versus residential, most people that buy a residential house,
Right.
as soon as they buy it, they're already gently house poor. Meaning if something was to go wrong,
Right.
do they have the money to fix it? Where commercial, it's an asset is an asset. It is what it is. They already know they're getting it. So I can go out now to not now, if say December comes around and it's 30 degrees outside and the furnace this house they're buying, the furnace is 23 years old.
Right.
It's working right now, but I can't guarantee you the AC is going to work when we get into summer because I can't test it.
Right.
And the age of it tells you it's not going to work. It shouldn't work. They don't want to hear that. So now they buy a house and now summer comes around. Now they're going to be spending another 8, 10, 12 grand changing their furnace out so those are the emotional things. They didn't think about that. And I try to push that to them, go, you got to think of everything. Take emotion out of it.
Well, and I do want to draw a distinction because I know this from previous discussion. When you talk about your own renovation versus when you're doing inspection, those two roads don't cross.
No.
Correct? You don't do renovation for people you inspect.
No, I don't. Second of all, I can't. It goes against my code of ethics with Internachi. And the reason they do that is so I can't say, hey, you got to replace this. And then I come behind and do it.
Right.
So I don't do any repairs on anything that I do. I can. And I'll actually tell people how to do it themselves, but I'm not getting involved.
And I just wanted to clarify that for anybody hearing that misunderstood, because I knew that from our previous discussion that you'll call it out or you'll identify it.
Yep.
But it's not you're not coming in to fix it.
No, I'm not.
And by the way, no matter how much I begged him, he's not coming in to fix it.
No.
Well, Van, what other things should we learn? Actually, you know what? I did want to ask you this.
Ask away.
Because you talked about your previous entrepreneurial experience, what have you learned through your own journey that if you were meeting somebody today that was just getting started out, regardless of pathway, what would you share with them?
It's funny because the two businesses that I started with Sky Zone and with this. At Sky Zone, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and I'll be the first to admit it. And there's a quote from now she's one of our dearest friends. She just got married to one of our old team members that worked with us. When we opened our doors at Sky Zone, it was February 22nd, 2013, I believe it was.
Wow.
And yeah, we opened the doors at noon. There was a line out the door already because everybody knew what Sky Zone was from the Suwannee location, the Roswell location. And my wife was on a register, Maria, and Hannah was sitting there. And Maria said, look at the line. And Hannah looked at me or looked at Maria and said, well, if we didn't know what we were doing before, we're sure going to figure it out now.
There you go.
So that was my initial, we have no idea what we're doing. To the second business, I had actually a 1 year, a 3 year, a 5 year plan. And now I've actually, and I've actually changed gently that 5 year plan to include commercial because of that's a new phase to the industry that we're going. So yeah, that's my first Sky Zone. I had no plan. I have a franchise advisor, but they really didn't know what they were doing as well because that business blew up so quickly.
Sure.
They couldn't get a handle of it.
So did you make any mistakes?
At Sky Zone?
Anywhere?
Oh, I have tons. Every day you're going to make a mistake and you're going to learn from your mistake every day. So don't beat yourself up over a mistake because it's going to happen. That was the one thing I would tell everybody. You're going to make a mistake. Don't beat yourself up. But don't make the same mistake.
Right. Learn from them.
Learn from it. And I've learned every day I go out to a house. I learn stuff at a structure. I'm like, that's an interesting way you did that. Completely wrong. But then I try to put myself in their shoes of what they were thinking.
Sure.
And a lot of times I come up with nothing, but it is what it is.
That's funny. So last question, just because we've talked about commercial, we've talked about residential. Are there other services that you're offering?
Not at this time. I was doing maintenance for seniors, and I have like four seniors that I still do this for. It was never an inspection business. I'll go out, change air filters, clean condenser coils, things like that.
Okay.
The other things I'll do for the inspection part of the business,
sure,
we do radon. I do.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yep, radon testing for people that are buying a ranch or a basement house. They want radon. Mold, I can do mold assessments. I use a company out of Weston, Florida, ProLab, that I'll do that. Sewer scans. So there's other avenues or other little ancillary services that we do.
But they're in support of the inspection.
Correct. Like I have software that I'll go in and do a 3D or 2D blueprint of the inside of the house.
Wow.
People are like, hey, I want to know, will my sofa fit here? I want to know what this is. So I can do a 2D, 3D blueprint.
You've entered the virtual world.
Can
you scan my house to put it in a virtual world? I'm in.
You can. Yeah. No, and I use AI for a lot of stuff.
You're not actually here. This is actually just your laptop.
It's a hologram.
There you go.
What was that, Multiplicity?
Yeah.
Remember that? We're all older. We remember that.
Not me. I'm just a
kid.
Van, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
I joke and say Inspector_Van on my social media.
Okay.
You will find more content that is relevant to your house. Those videos, I can't say they're absolutely raw. It's just me doing it for fun. And that's actually how I met my mentors. Austin Jenkins, Inspector AJ, I tell everybody follow him. Preston Kincaid, and Chris Estlin out of Delaware. I actually was absorbing as much content as I could from them. And I met them in 2023 at a convention, and come to find out they were all friends.
Right.
And come to find out they're like, oh, you're by yourself? Come hang out with us. And they became my mentors, which...
That's fantastic.
It's funny. I texted a picture of my wife. I'm like, look who I got to meet. And she says, you're like a fanboy right now. And I'm like, you have no idea the implementation that I'm going to get from them into my business because of suggestions they put out there. And every suggestion is a good suggestion.
Sure.
It just doesn't know if it works for you.
Right. Fair enough.
That suggestion was good for somebody at some point, but is it for your business? And I had 5 or 6 suggestions from them, and it took me 12 weeks to implement all of their suggestions, and my business took off. So I'll forever be in their debt.
All right. So social media,
Inspector_Van. My website, PhoenixResolutions.com, which I didn't want to make it Phoenix Real Estate Solutions. That's just too long.
Okay.
Yeah. So Resolutions is just worked. RE Solutions. It just worked out that way. My website, and then you'll see me driving around in my Suburban.
Sure. And we'll share all of this on our website as well.
Absolutely.
I can't thank you enough for the good humor and the interesting stories and what you've shared with us. It's a joy to have you here.
They're fun. And the videos on social media, I've got one I've got to put out where someone did a support beam across the sunroom, and they used 2x6s. And
I assume that's funny.
It is funny seeing how now it's sagging almost 3
okay.
inches and
All
the
right.
roof is coming down in the middle.
I wasn't sure.
See, that's my humor.
Okay.
That's not your humor.
Okay.
That's my humor. Yeah.
Two entrepreneurs walk into a bar.
Exactly right. You're going to see the nice wood in the bar and the drinks. I'm going to see the roof leaks in the unlevel floors.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Well,
That's why you'll never be invited to my house.
Yeah.
I get that all the time. When I go to friends' house, they're like, hey, don't look at our house. I'm like, I'm not here for that, but I'll have fun. But
then you just come out of the bathroom and you're like, has the sink always been that way?
so you say that was actually the deciding factor for me to get into inspections.
Right.
I was at a Louisiana kitchen in downtown Ackworth.
Fair enough.
Their bathroom doors in the hallway, one opens into the bathroom, one opens out into the hallway. And I'm like, why is that? And that's how my brain works. I'm like, why did they do that? That bothers me. I don't know if it's ADD, OCD, something with a bunch of...
It's your superpower.
It's
your
something. I'm like,
hyperfocus.
why is that? And that's what started. My wife looked at me. She goes, you need to start doing inspections. I'm like, okay. When I sat down here, I was looking at the roof tiles to see if there's any leaks.
Nice.
Can't help it.
Well, thank you, David Van Vurst with Phoenix Real Estate Solutions, Inspector_Van on social media. Thank you, Brian and Laurie from the Cobb County Business Bootcamp. I appreciate you guys being here today and having good humor and laughing with me. It was a great show. I really appreciate everybody. Today's episode is brought to you in part by our community partner program, the Business Radio X Main Street Warriors, defending capitalism, promoting small business, and supporting our local community. For more information, go to mainstreetwarriors.org. And again, a special note of thanks to our title sponsor for the Cherokee chapter of Main Street Warriors, Diesel David Inc. Please go check them out at dieseldavid.com. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Cherokee Business Radio. This is your host and professional EOS implementer, Joshua Kornitsky. We'll see you next time.